just beginning, and that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to talk about Earth Hour. But I wanted us to recognize that we have to get involved. Dawah is not just preaching to people, telling them is a very important component. But our involvement in things like Earth Hour, and there are a few other things, inshallah, that I will mention in this talk, is just as much a form of dawah and showing and demonstrating to human beings, our fellow travelers on this earth, that Muslims are concerned about their souls, and we are also concerned about the quality of our lives while we're here on earth. Brothers and sisters, when we look at the responsibility that you and I have to invite others to submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as our other speakers have pointed out, this is an awesome, tremendous responsibility and duty, but it's something that none of us as Muslims can avoid that duty or responsibility. But I want to point out that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in his infinite wisdom, knew that for the standard bearers of this religion, this deen of Islam, that there had to be a special quality of human beings. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the best generation that will ever live and practice Islam on earth to be that first standard bearer for Islam. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know the hadith better than me, has talked about how his generation, his Sahaba, there'll never be a generation better than that generation. Take for a moment and just look at the history of the Sahaba. Look at the Sahaba of every other Rasul, every other Nabi. No one compares to the Sahaba of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Read the Quran, read the Hadith literature, and there's no argument about this. So what we have is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose for this special role of carrying forth this message of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose these people that none of us as a generation will never compare to by way of our amal as-salihin, our works. When it comes to Iman, inshallah, we can get close. But never will we compare to their works. That generation went through things that none of us could ever imagine going through. Allah chose them. They were special. That was a special group of people. They were just like you and I. But as a generation, they were so special. Allah chose these individuals. And why did they need to be special? You know the history. Look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look at when he publicly made his call. Sometimes you and I may not read all of the pages of the Sirah, but I want to just point out just a few of them here this evening. One of those pages of the Sirah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam tell us that yes, he was physically assaulted. That Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was physically assaulted to the point that he was knocked unconscious. People thought that Abu Bakr was dead. He was laying on the ground unconscious. Why? Because he was calling people to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had warned him in advance, Abu Bakr, I know you're newly reconciled to the faith, but you need to calm down a little bit. These men are mean. But Abu Bakr went out and called the people to the oneness of Allah. He was beaten unconscious. He was persecuted. This is the rich and powerful Abu Bakr. He was persecuted to the point that he left Mecca. And he saw one of the mushrikeen who told him, asked him, where are you going? Mecca can't afford to lose a man like you. Come back. and I will protect you. Look at the stories. Look at that family, that blessed, special family of the first martyr of Islam, the first martyr being a Sister Sumayya. Look at how she was speared to death in front of her husband and her son, Ammar. And look at what Yasser, what was his fate for holding on to this call of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was choked to death in front of his son because he was just calling the people to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at what happened to Yasser. Look at his story. Here is a young man, he's just seen his mother and his father martyred because of their doubt. And now he is tortured to the point that they tell Yasser, curse Muhammad, curse him. What did Yasser do? He cursed the Prophet Muhammad, astaghfirullah alayhi. Yasser, when he was released, he went to the Prophet Muhammad and told him, I've ruined myself, I've cursed you, tell me what happened. He said they were torturing me and I couldn't take it anymore. So the Prophet Muhammad said, what's the condition of your heart? What do you feel in your heart? Is your heart cursing me, or what do you feel? He said, no, my heart is pure, my heart is clean. I love you, I love Allah. So the Prophet Muhammad told Yasser, the next time you're in that situation, do it again. Curse me again, because the condition of your heart, what came out of your mouth, was forced upon you. It's your heart that matters. Keep your heart pure. Keep your heart clean. And when the time comes, others will be attracted by you. You won't have to even say anything to them, but just keep your heart pure and keep your heart clean. Brothers and sisters, the Sahaba withstood and underwent certain tests that as a generation, no one went through tests as a generation of Muslims like these people to introduce Islam, not as an existing Muslim community. But they underwent what they went through, introducing Islam to the society in which they lived. Let me just give one other example of this brother by the name of Khabbab. Khabbab was not like Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. He was not like some of the other high status, good, high social standing Muslims in Mecca at the time they embraced Islam. Khabbab was of a lower social standing, and he used to be tortured unmercifully. When Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu became the Khalifa, he said, Khabbab, I've been hearing stories. Brothers have been telling me about how you were tortured when you first became Muslim. For many years, I've heard these stories. Tell me some of the stories yourself, because I heard you were an effective da'i, that you guided so many people by talking to them about Islam. Tell me your story. Khabbab just pulled his shirt up. He said, look at my back. Umar ibn al-Khattab said, I'd never seen anybody's back look like that. What happened to you? Because he had these deep holes all in his back, real deep holes, and they were black on the inside. He said that the mushrikeen, whenever I would call people to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they would grab me and they would burn these stones and they would take me out in the desert and they would have me forced on my back on these stones.